So I am going to ask if you guys have any issues with seeing anything if my face is in the way, which sometimes it is. Go ahead and just let me know. I'm going to move our chat over here and make sure that we're all good to go, letting people in as we can. Awesome. Great. We have Laura Jane Accessories, and she is on Instagram at Laura Jane Bride. Jean says that her website is BC, so www.bc.edu/Connor Center for Jean Drum. Awesome. Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for joining today. I'm really excited that you guys are spending some time with me. Like I said, if you have any questions, go ahead and enter them in the chat. I'm happy to answer those for you. We're going to talk today about what you should and should not be posting on social media right now. I think that this is probably, to use the terms that we've all been saying over and over again, it's unprecedented. But I believe more than that, it really is, it's a challenging environment for businesses to do business in a way that maybe they had never thought of before. And so when you're thinking of using social media and how you use it, the way that you're going to be using it right now is potentially different. And going forward, it's going to be potentially different than how you used it in the past. And so really understanding the best ways to use it, one, personally, if you use it personally, but also two, using it professionally for your business to be able to help your business survive and thrive during this time. So we're going to talk about that. And I always like to start with a quote. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Gary Vaynerchuk. He's somewhat of a polarizing individual. I think there's some great nuggets of information that he does provide. Sometimes I'm not so sure about the delivery. Some other things that he says, but one of the things that he did say in the past was to please think about your legacy, because you're writing it every day. And the one thing that I think we can all agree on is that the internet is forever. So, whatever you're posting on the internet, if you're posting it on social media, people screenshot it, people save it, it's cataloged, it's there forever. And so there are a lot of things as human beings that we do, that we make mistakes, obviously. And it's important to make sure that we're not so paralyzed with fear that we just don't participate at all. But to really think about, this is a legacy piece. This post is a legacy post. This story is a legacy story. What is it that's contributing to your legacy in terms of how you're showing up on social? Those are the things that you really want to think about, and kind of ask yourself that question before you post anything, before you add a story. Really thinking about those things so that you're making sure that when you are posting, right, that it's something that you're not going to later regret. And I think now more than ever, there's a lot of feelings that everyone's feeling. There's a lot of emotions. There's a lot of issues, and you're not alone in feeling those. But remember that the choices that you're going to make during those times of feeling, whether it's frustrated, angry, sad, upset, just that life isn't fair. Understand that there are others who are going to be viewing your story, your post, your video, if you're on TikTok, whatever it is that you're putting out there, people are going to be viewing that, and that's going to be part of your legacy. Whether or not they are with you emotionally on the same step or the same journey or the same spot or not, those are things that you need to be considering, because, in this time of, let's put it all on the table, let's be vulnerable, let's be authentic, all of those things are great. But understanding that as a business, your authenticity still has to go through some type of filter. And that filter should be your legacy, what you want that to be for your business. So I would definitely suggest to really think about that, because those are the things that are really going to determine the right choices for you in your business, what you're going to be posting and what you're not. So if you're not familiar with me, my name is Megan Garmers. I am the founder and director of the Bridal Masterclass. if you're not on mute, I'm going to suggest that you mute yourself so everyone can hear. Like I was saying, my name is Megan Garmers, founder and director of the Bridal Masterclass. We have a mission to really just provide resources for small businesses in the wedding industry specifically, because not only are you a small business, you have a very unique mission in terms of what, how, and why you do what you do when it comes to working with couples. And when it comes to couples and their decision-making process, when it's their wedding day, which is generally speaking one of the most important days of their life, those types of emotions that go with the decision-making process is different than any other type of decision they're going to make in terms of purchases, products, or services. And so understanding how you present yourself as a business, how you operate your business, your customer service, your customer experience journey, social media, like we're talking about today, all of those things are really important, and I think they're unique to the wedding industry. And so however it is that we can really provide opportunities for people to learn and really better their business, to better serve the couples that they work with, that's what we want to do. I also have a company, MG Hair Makeup. So I've been in the industry for over 20 years, in the wedding industry, and done everything from New York Bridal Fashion Week. We do London Bridal Fashion Week as well, and Harrogate. We work very closely with the Knot. When Carly Roney, who's one of the co-founders of the Knot, when she was there, we used to work very closely with her. We still work with the Knot a lot. And a lot of different publications, just about every publication that's out there, and really enjoy the industry itself and what it's become. It's definitely different than it was 20 years ago. And so one of the things that, I hope to be able to help you with is really kind of understanding the different things that that you can learn from, whether it's my mistakes, whether it's the way the industry has been shaped or is different, and how couples have also changed so that you can serve them better. So when it comes to social media, right, we all need to know our why. So that is going to be determined in terms of how you're going to show up. So understanding, right, where are your ideal clients? And when I say ideal clients, understand that if you don't already have a really specific avatar in terms of who your ideal client or clients are, you should definitely do that. So if you're not familiar with that, you're not sure about that, I'd suggest go ahead and you can either put your email in the chat right there, or else you can email us after. Just let us know. Happy to send you a free workbook that kind of takes you through some different thought processes and really understanding a little bit more about who your ideal client is, especially now, because this is a very different time. For some of you, you're still in quarantine. For some of you, you're probably out of quarantine. Understanding who your couple, right, your ideal client is, both in and out of quarantine and after this, where they fit in, just who they are, where they're really hanging out on social, and also what their habits are. Those habits are definitely different after quarantine, and their emotions and their state of mind is different. Some people are ready and raring to go, and they don't have any concerns about contracting COVID, and others are extremely concerned and they don't want to go out at all. So absolutely, Aditi, we will email you your workbook for you. And honestly, if you haven't already thought through exactly who your ideal client, and you should have, probably more than one ideal client avatar to really think about who it is. And, we definitely say it's good for you to even think about, naming them. I know for some people it sounds crazy, but really naming them and really understanding. So who is your client? Who's your couple? What do they do? And then really thinking about during quarantine, what have they been doing? Where have they been spending time? Because some of those habits are going to continue after, and that is very different than perhaps how they were spending their time beforehand. So really think about that. The reason that you really need to know about all of these things is because if you don't know where they are, you don't know where you should be, right? You need to know where they are so you're spending your time wisely. You're not wasting your time on social media, because I'm sure, you all have spent, I've certainly been very guilty of it. Spending time on social can be a rabbit hole you fall down, and you just keep scrolling and you're like, oh my goodness, where did the hours go? Right? Or I thought I was on here for something else and I can't remember anymore. Those are things that you want to avoid when social media is really meant for you to be able to prop your business up and help it grow. You also need to know what they are. So what are they doing on social media, right? What platforms are they on? What are they doing while they're on the platform? Are they posting things? Are they just watching things? What types of things are they watching? What's engaging for them? Those are things that are important so that you can provide content that's going to engage with them naturally. And also how they are. So how are they interacting? Like I was saying, are they commenting? Are they liking? Are they sharing? Are they reposting? Are they DMing? What are they doing on social media? Because if you don't know any of that, especially right now, it's going to be really hard to connect with couples going forward. There's a lot of couples who are now working remotely and possibly continuing to work remotely even after quarantine lifts. And so those are things that you really need to think about so that you understand what you need to do to reach them, right? You need to be able to read their minds and understand exactly what their pain points are. And if you don't know what those are in quarantine and also when it's lifting, you're going to be lost and you're going to be that much further behind in terms of connecting with them. In terms of the what, right? We need to know in terms of social media. So what are we using it for? Are we using it for just entertainment? Are we using it for information? Or are we using it to connect with people? And there might be different platforms that your couples are using differently and maybe differently than you. And so those are things that you really, again, want to think about. What are they doing on social media? Are they looking for information, right? Are they looking for, when it comes to weddings, are they looking for inspiration? Are they looking for, information in terms of how you're handling opening up, reopening? Maybe your COVID policies, maybe your postponement and rescheduling policies, right? What types of information are you providing them? Entertainment, right? Whether that's inspiration, whether that's quirky, funny things. If you're on TikTok, maybe that's a dance. Maybe that's, if you have a bridal shop or you have a venue, maybe it's doing silly things in the venue, kind of showing the space off in a different way. There's a lot of different things that you can do to make it unique and special and still attractive to them, to kind of give them exactly what they want. As they're scrolling through. And then connecting. So really thinking again about, that connection, understanding how are you able to get them to engage with you. Now, engagement is probably one of the hardest, and yet when you're thinking about it, it should be one of the easiest things that you do, because if you know who your ideal client is, you should be able to know how it is that they want to connect with you. What are their pain points? What's frustrating them right now? What's making them super happy? What do they love? If you understand their loves and their hates, it makes things a lot easier in terms of what you're going to be posting, right? Whether it's a photo, whether it's a caption, whether it's a story, whether it's a poll, if you're asking questions on your Instagram story, if you're doing a video, right? If you're going to do a how-to video, maybe on your IGTV, if you're doing a live, do they watch those? Do they show up and watch those or not? Right? Those are things that you need to know about your ideal client so that you can provide that type of content and be where they're looking. When it comes to connecting, specifically for DMing or commenting or sharing or saving anything, especially on Instagram, those are things that you want to look back on your analytics. And if you're unsure about how to use your analytics on Instagram, put your information in the chat and I'm happy to give you some more information in terms of the best practices for understanding your analytics. So that way you can really maximize what you're posting, when you're posting, and hashtags that you're going to be using, because those are things that, again, are going to help boost what you're doing. I mean, everyone wants their efforts to go further. And so if you can do that, I, by all means, would suggest that you do. All right. And so when it comes to social media, right, What should you not be posting right now? And one of the things that a lot of people, especially now because things are starting to reopen, the idea of what and what is not tone deaf varies. And again, I fully understand that that's going to be different for everyone. But the one thing that you need to know is what is tone deaf for your specific ideal client. If you do not know what is tone deaf for them, which may not be the same as what's tone deaf for you, if you don't know what they find to be tone deaf, you can very easily offend them. The last thing that you want to do, obviously, is offend your ideal client and, you know, have them just dismiss you. So understanding what you should and shouldn't post is really important. Clearly, a photo like you see behind the text there, it's a group shot, group selfie, right? You see everyone there. Clearly not social distancing. No one's wearing a mask. They're out traveling. They probably don't live in the Grand Canyon. So my guess is that they're taking a vacation, right? I know everybody right now wants to take a vacation. Everyone right now wants to be with their friends and just have fun. I mean, it's been a really long few months. And so the last thing that you want to do is wear a mask again. The last thing you want to do is have to stay home more. But understanding that while that might be a feeling that you have personally, expressing that through your business is not necessarily going to be the best thing for your business, because you don't know what's going on with the people who are looking at every post, at every story, and making sure, and not just when it's being posted, but also in terms of your catalog of the posts, when your feed, when they're going through that, if they look through and they see that that's something that you posted, they might be really turned off by that. And I know that's the last thing that you want. So really be thoughtful about what it is that you're posting. And a lot of people, when it comes to posts that show perhaps something that's not social distancing, in the caption, they'll put in parentheses, or they'll put in brackets, from, love this shot from last fall, right? It's very clear that it wasn't just recent, right? The caption itself really gives the context. And so making sure that if you are going to post something that is not showing the current norm, really qualifying that so that people understand that it's not just that you don't care, right? So when it comes to social media, the things that we should not be posting, obviously we talked about the same as usual, right? Political posts. And I always say that there's two things when it comes to business that, should never be discussed. One is political and two is religion. So politics and religion are generally off the table when it comes to your business, because if the opposing political party comes and asks for you to create this amazing event for them, right, and they're going to pay you, would you do it or not? Maybe it's someone who's not doing something for a political party, but maybe it's just someone of another political party. Would you do that or not? Understanding that everyone has boundaries and everyone has limits, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have those. What I am saying is that when we post things that are immediately exclusive, right, and drawing lines in the sand with everyone, it's really important to make sure that you're choosing what you're posting very carefully, right? Because at the end of the day, you definitely don't want to be on the wrong side of where your ideal client is. Now, there are some ideal clients that very much like a line in the sand. And if that's your ideal client, then that's great. But then understand that if there's others who are potentially off-put or offended by those posts, that they are not going to be part of your ideal client, and they're not going to be part of your clients at all. So if that's okay with you, that's great. But before you're posting anything, you definitely want to make sure that you are really, again, thinking through, is there anyone who could possibly be offended by seeing this? And if so, do I want their money? Do I want their business? Do I want to serve them with my product or service? And if the answer is yes, then you should not be posting it. If the answer is no, post away, right? Like we said before, same as usual. Do not be posting things that are the same as usual, right? Especially if you have perhaps couples who are, maybe they're not your ideal client, right? And maybe they are not social distancing, or maybe they are not wearing masks, or maybe they are not adhering to your local or state or county laws, right? Those are things that you need to be really careful about. One, just legally, I have heard of some wedding vendors who decided that they would go ahead and continue their business because they needed to eat, which I totally understand. But they decided to continue their business and operations like normal, and they were fined. They were cited. So those are things that you need to really weigh the pros and cons in terms of, again, what you want to do. Um, yes, it is important to make sure that you can provide and that your business can stay alive, but it's also important that, you as a human being are still alive, and that also your business, that you're not hurting your business in the long run, right? It's not just about now, it's about the future of your business. And so that's going to be determined by what's going on right now. This is not going to last forever, right? Aspects of how we do business and life in general will change, but that's life. Pre-COVID, that's life anyways, right? Things change. And so understanding how we're going to use that change to really move our business in a new direction, that's what you need to be focusing on. And lastly, not connecting, right? If you're just posting things and showing pretty photos like, wow, look at my beautiful tablescape I did. Did you see the beautiful flat lay? Like it, at that point, it's really all about you. So if you're not connecting, you're not commenting, you're not DMing, you're not showing that you care about your ideal client, why should they care about you? Right? Understanding that, it's the same premise. It's a very old premise, but uh, to get a friend, you have to be a friend, right? In order for you to connect with a client, which is very different than it used to be. 20 years ago, it was very much about, what do you have? That's what I want. Great, here's the money. It fits in my budget, done, right? Now we're working with millennial couples and some Gen Z, right? Couples are not getting any older in terms of the majority. They're still going to be younger. And so understanding how you connect with them is key. And if you're not connecting, you're missing out on a lot of business, right? Which I'm going to assume that that's not something you want to do. So really think about how can you connect with them, whether that's email communication, if that's picking up the phone, if that's hopping on a Zoom call. What is that, in terms of connecting with them? And then how do you translate that to how you're posting on social, right? Maybe you ask them, hey, you're on a Zoom call, you're like, hey, can I do a quick screenshot and give you guys a little shout out? Sure, that'd be great. You can do a quick screenshot, post it on social and say, love chatting with, our couple. They've, rescheduled their date to, 2021, and we can't wait to celebrate with them. Right? Things like that. It's encouraging. It's showing how you're connecting with your couples, but it's also putting out there what you're doing so that other potential couples can see that and say, hey, I want to be like them, right? I want to work with that venue, with that photographer, with that stationer, whoever it is, because they care, right? Nobody wants to just buy something or contract a service for their wedding and not have that vendor care. I mean, that's first and foremost. Otherwise they would just buy something off of Etsy if that was the case. And even then, for the most part, a lot of really great vendors on Etsy, one of the reasons that they hit it big there is because they care and they do little personalizations. They might draw something, or they might write something cool, or add in a little, a quote or something fun, right? What's that doing? It's connecting. And so think about, again, how are you connecting authentically with your clients, but then how are you going to use social media to kind of trumpet your cause and show exactly what it is that you're doing for that connection. Of course, is it better just not to post? I feel that sometimes it's easy to just kind of throw your hands up in the air and say, that's it, I give up. I just not going to be on social because I feel like I could make too many mistakes. I could wreck my business. I don't even know if I'm going to have a business. What's the point? I'm just not going to do it. So, of course, we could all be like this dead plant on the side over here, but I'm guessing that nobody really wants to be like the dead plant. Um, and so, what do? Right? What happens? So, okay, fine. Let's say that we do throw our hands up in the air and we're not going to do social. So, what happens when you don't show up, when you don't engage, you don't post, you don't put a story, you don't comment on Instagram, right? When that happens, you can't be found. Right now, on both Instagram and TikTok, there are over 1 billion users on each platform. 1 billion users. That's a lot. And so when it comes to your ideal client, the majority of ideal clients are probably going to be on those platforms. If they're looking for your service, and even if they're not looking for your service, that's where they are. But they can't find you if you're not there, if you don't show up. How many of you have ever been to, going through Instagram and you find somebody's account and you're like, oh, and you look, the last time they posted was like 2 years ago. Your first question is like, okay, did they die? What happened? Did they go out of business? What's going on? Right? If you're not there at all, you can't be found. You're certainly not going to show up in their feed. And in order to show up, you have to show up. So if you want to show up in their feed, you have to make sure that you are posting consistently, right? If you're not sure, like I said, about analytics and understanding when to post, or you don't have a scheduler that you use that helps you with that, those are things that you need to really understand and think about so that you're posting at the right time. You're posting when people are on, and it's going to naturally show up in their feed, right? In their stories that they're looking through. It's very easy to just kind of like glaze over and just keep looking at the stories as they go through. If your story, right, isn't there, if you're not constantly adding new content to that, they're not going to see that. So you have to show up, right? You have to be there on social and actually engage yourself to do that in order to show up in their feed. Clients, obviously, they are going to wonder if you're in business. So it's really important, especially right now. There are a lot of accounts that if you go through, they have not posted since like March. And I get it. I totally get it. Social media, the news, you just want to shut things off. And sometimes you need a detox. I'm not saying you don't. But at some point, you have to be ready, willing, and able to open your doors again, figuratively or, actual reality, open physical doors. You need to be ready to do that if you're going to continue to have a business. So first and foremost, make that decision in your own head and heart. Are you going to continue doing business? If not, that's fine, right? I would then just put a post on social and just say, we're taking a break. We appreciate your love and support. Please let us know how we can help you. You can email us here, or you can go to our website, or whatever the case is, right? But we're not taking any new clients right now. That's great. At that point, you're professional. You're showing that you care about your business, and you're showing that even though you might not be in business right now, the potential of you coming back is there, right? It's a great way to be able to bow out if that's really what you want. Or even just, I've seen posts where people are like, this has just been a lot for me and I just need to take some time off, right? You can do that as well. But when you just don't show up, you are ghosting them, right? And nobody likes to be ghosted. You're ghosting them the way that couples will ghost you. And I have to say, it's something that, while they might not necessarily miss your posts or miss your stories or miss your IG lives, right? They're not going to be able to know that you're in business. They're not going to see you. You can't be found, right? And if they're thinking about possibly hiring you, they're going to wonder whether or not you are in business. So that's really important. No one is going out of their way to check if you're still in business, right? And it really looks like you don't care. The last thing that I would say any business would really want is to look like they don't care. They don't care about the business. They don't care about the clients. They don't care about what they're doing. That is not something that you'd ever really want to do or show in terms of intentionally. But that's really what comes across. It shows like you don't care. And to be honest, couples, if they're looking, right, they're not going to be comfortable booking someone who might not even be in business for when their wedding does come about, right? Couples want someone who's going to be their cheerleader, who's going to be excited to be there, who's going to be committed. And if it doesn't look like you are going to be in business, why would they want to hire you? That's only going to, kind of speed the process of your business dying. Which, again, if that's something that you want to do, that's your call. But understand that if you really want to make sure that your business survives all of this and comes out on the other side, then you need to show up. So what should you be posting right now? So like we were saying, encouragement is probably one of the most important things that you can do. If you are an encouraging person and you're posting encouraging posts, it brightens people's day. It's a great way to be able to know, number one, maybe you're helping someone else. Maybe they're kind of in a funk. Maybe it brings a smile to their face. Maybe it's funny, right? Maybe it's a quote that's really good and it kind of hits them in a different way. Maybe it's sympathy, right? You're giving them encouragement because you understand the difficult position that your couples are in, right? That's encouragement. That's like saying, hey, we're in this together and I'm not going to leave you. That's great. Maybe it's good news. Maybe it's something like we're, going to be opening our doors, or maybe it's, amazing things that you're doing for your community. Maybe you're providing catering meals for frontline workers, or maybe you are providing, babysitting services, or you are organizing a fundraiser, whatever it is that you're doing, right? Those are things that are, again, encouraging, right? Not only to the people that are reading it, but to other people as well. And so understand that when you're posting those, yes, it's encouraging to the people who are reading it, but it's also showing them that you care, which again goes back to how you're able to connect with your ideal couple. You want to be posting about your new operations. Things are obviously not going to be the same, right? What are you doing about that? That's probably first and foremost. So if it's not something that's already on your website, it's not something that you've already communicated to your couples via email, that you've posted on social media, right? Whatever your new kind of protocol is, if you're a venue and you're doing, one of the kind of sanitation bombs that they're calling them, where you're basically fogging the place and sanitizing it. Maybe you have a special cleaning crew and, what they're doing, maybe you're requiring masks. Maybe you have, 6 feet markers on the floor, whatever it is, right? Those are things that it's important for couples to know, because again, you are answering questions that they have in their mind before they're even asked. To them, to millennials, you're reading their mind, and that is comforting. That's helpful, and it gives them this connection that they're longing for with their vendors, right? You already know what they care about. That's important. So that's really something that you need to think about in terms of what that is, what that looks like, and then how are you going to be communicating that and implementing that for all of your employees, for all of your new ways of doing business, right? Safety guidelines for you and your team, right? Are you taking temperatures at the door? Are you, sanitizing all of the doorknobs after each person comes in and out of maybe a bathroom? Do you have a bathroom attendant there? What is that? What is that all going to look like? Are you not having buffets, but you're not charging for plated meals? What does that look like for your business? And then in terms of virtual services and products, so contactless setup, right? How does that go about with your current kind of packages and pricing? Are you integrating things in? Are you offering new things? Is it for a limited time, right? Is it a separate business name that maybe will go away later once things are different? What does that all look like for your business? So before you can start to post about that, you definitely need to take the time and think about how that's going to be in terms of kind of reinventing your business. That's one of the reasons that we have, our reinvention business membership, is because that group is really, really focused on making sure that what they're doing with their business differently is going to be not just operational for now, but it's going to be beneficial in the long run for what they're doing. If you have questions about it, you can put it in the chat. I'm happy to answer those too. But in terms of really thinking about services, I mean, not just saying, oh, I offer virtual services now, or I offer micro weddings. That's great, but what does that look like? If you don't have a plan, that's not helpful. And so those are things that you want to really think about, again, how you're going to be rolling those out, what type of protocol that is, and then how you're communicating that with everyone else, and on social media, because that's really the place that you're going to want to do that. And then lastly, you should be posting about your virtual side, right? So showing up, whether that's on an IG live saying, hey guys, it's me. I wanted to share with you this new design I made, or this new bouquet I've been working on, or peonies are in season. So, can you believe how gorgeous, they just started to open up, whatever it is. People like to know that you're real. People like to know that you are not just this perfect picture that they see on your feed, right? They want to know kind of how you think and how you create, and what your voice is, what your brand voice is behind everything else. So first of all, that needs to be consistent. If you're not sure about what your brand voice is, or the branding that you're messaging, again, put your email in the chat. I'm happy to send you information. But those are things that you really need to think about, because that bleeds into everything that you do in social. And it's also going to bleed into everything that you're doing if you're showing up live, right? Showing up live is not like, just a reality TV show, which we all know isn't 100% real anyways, it's edited. And so really thinking about, okay, what is the narrative that I want to put forth about my business and what I want to show? That's what you want to think about, because those are the things that you want to show on your virtual side, kind of, whether that's for the services or for any of your marketing that you're putting forth. So show your virtual services. If you're setting up like a huge ceremony, right, decor, and you're doing that, take photos and post that and say, love, providing contactless setup and, delivery and tear down of these amazing rentals, or, this floral design or event design. You want to highlight their experience. So, obviously, if the couple is getting ready and they have masks on, that's a great photo to be able to show, like, hey, I'm still in business and I want to be able to help however I can, right? And then, like I was saying, having, whether it's a Facebook Live, an IG Live, and now TikTok even has live options. You can go live on a lot of different platforms, and understanding, again, who your audience is really important to determining what you're going to be talking about, and how you're going to be kind of showing yourself on that live, and who's going to be showing up to your live. So those things you want to think about in advance, and then really kind of working backwards and saying, okay, so this is when they're generally on and they want to watch lives. This is generally when, this is what they're going to want to listen to, or what they're going to want to see, right? If you don't know who, again, going back to your ideal client, if you don't know who that is during this time, it's going to be really hard for you to be able to put forth that content that they're going to want. So Jonathan I was the chief design officer of Apple. He's no longer there. But one of the things that he said, and I mean, obviously we all know that Apple's known for their minimalistic design, but also just the innovation that they have. It's not just about less, it's about it's really about better. And he said, it's very easy to be different, but it's very difficult to be better. And I think when we're thinking about whether it's offering virtual services or offering micro weddings or intimate weddings or doing something that maybe is a little bit different, right? Anyone can do that. That's not so different. It's not so special. So think about how can I be better? How can I offer something but be better? How can I serve my ideal client better? Because if you know that, that's gold. Your business is going to be set. It's not going to have a problem. But if you don't know how to be better, right? And if you're not constantly striving to be better, right? That's the type of business that's going to go by the wayside. It's the type of business where, you could very easily go out of business. We did a webinar on pivoting and preparing for your new business plan. And one of the things that we talked about was a book. And if you haven't read it, I highly suggest it. It's called Who Moved My Cheese? And it's this allegory about two humans and two mice, and they go into this maze, right? And every day they go to the same place and there's cheese there. And then one day there's no more cheese. And so the mice are like, okay, we're going to go find more cheese. And so they just leave. The people, they sit there and they wallow and they cry and then they blame each other. And then they're upset and they're like, we're going to die. And then it dawns on one of them that, you know what, if we don't change and if we're not willing to face our fear, it's very clear that we could become extinct. And that works for just about anything in life when you're thinking about whether you have a growth or a fixed mindset. And that comes out of another book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And again, if you haven't read that book, I highly suggest that as well. But it's really talking about, what is it that you're how are you thinking? So are you thinking in a way that's very rigid, that is, this is the way the world is and this is just how it is, versus, okay, this is a problem, or this is an obstacle, or this is an opportunity. What can I do now to overcome that? What can I do now to change my outcome of the output that I give, right? So if I'm giving efforts and output, what can I do to change that so I get a different outcome, right? That's a growth mindset. You're essentially thinking of your entire life as a science experiment, right? You hypothesize, you design experiments, you test things out, and then based on what kind of comes of it, you adjust it and you do it again, right? If you're not constantly doing that with your business, right? And even on social media, if you're not really thinking about what's connecting, what's not, looking at your analytics again, if you're not doing that, it's going to be really hard because you're just going to put out the same stuff and get the same result and wonder why it's not working for you. So really think again about, okay, this worked because I did it at this time. I used these hashtags. I included these people, right? And they shared it as well. There are so many things that you can add in there. I had this call to action, right? What was it that you put in there that made it work well versus not? And that's the same thing for TikTok. I mean, there's lots of people who do lots of dance videos on TikTok. Not saying you have to do that. And they don't get any views, right? Or if they do, they get like weird comments, and it's just like, it's not helpful for them. And it's certainly not if you're using it for business. So really think about, what is it that you're putting out there, and how are you learning from that? How are you growing from that to be better, really? And so when it comes to your social media, thinking about even the platforms, because right now people are still on Facebook. It's not that they're not, but really understanding what they're on Facebook for. Same thing for Instagram, and the same thing for TikTok. So thinking about those things are going to, number one, it's going to really help you hone in on what platforms you're going to want to spend the most time on. But then in terms of what you're actually posting and putting out there for your content, understanding who your ideal client is, that's going to make all the difference in terms of providing this sieve, really, to put all of your ideas, all your thoughts about posts, stories, video. Should I be doing a TikTok dance video? right? All of that kind of gets dumped into this sieve that's really based on who your ideal client is. And if it doesn't come out on the other side, that means that, you know what, you shouldn't be doing it. So any questions? I know that, let me grab the chat here. Any questions about anything that I had said earlier from the presentation? And again, if any of you guys have, you know, questions privately, you're welcome to type those in and I can contact you directly. If you want any of the workbooks, you know, by all means, just let me know, put that together for you and send it over as well. But any questions about anything that we had chatted about for social media and what to post? Do you guys feel like you have a pretty good understanding of what to post, or do you feel like you're more confused now after the presentation? No questions? How many of you guys are on TikTok right now? You can type it in the comments. And if you are on TikTok, how many of you have actually posted? And the reason that I ask that is because the majority of your ideal clients are on TikTok right now. It is the most effective time waster and connector that is out there right now that people are really spending a lot of time on. And so understanding how to use it is really something that's important, at least right now for your business. Okay, no questions. Well, thanks so much for joining, everyone. Again, you're welcome to send a message with your email. If you didn't get a chance to do that today and you want one of the workbooks, you can DM us on Instagram and just let us know. Happy to send you a workbook over for your ideal client, and thinking about not just who your ideal client is, but also when it comes to being in quarantine, obviously, who it is that your ideal client is during quarantine, but also after quarantine, so that all of your efforts for your business, for your marketing, really go further. So thanks so much, everyone, for joining. And hopefully we'll see you back again another time for another webinar.